Hi guys, so sorry about the delay on the NCT Original 21 vocal ranking. The timings aren't really working out too well right now. December's a pretty busy month for everybody, so it may take a little while until we can get that out. But I am going to work on it very soon, or at least I hope I can. Right, so today I thought I'd do something a little bit different while I'm kind of waiting on the backlog of groups to look at for analysis. I'm doing more of a subjective list today, not an objective video. I really have always loved making top 10 lists. I always have done. I've made a few on my channel back in the day and deleted them as obviously my taste changed and progressed. But I love the idea of making a favourite vocalist list, and through this entire process of this channel and making all these videos, my list has widely changed and widely different from it used to be. Some have remained, some have stayed the same, but a lot are a lot different than they used to be, and that's in large part to finding a lot of vocalists from all these videos and doing all the analyses. So what I want to do is just go through the 10 best vocalists in my opinion, not in terms of objectively who the strongest technique is or anything like that. It's just personally who my ears really gravitate towards, who they really enjoy, and the vocalists that I listen to on a daily basis and really love. Obviously, it goes without saying that this is not an objective list. Please do not be offended if the people that you love and herald with all else are not on this list. It just means that I either don't like them as much as you do, haven't heard them, or just don't vibe with them exactly the same way. That obviously goes without saying, but I just want to mention that straight away. And no fan wars, guys. If I like a member of a group that you don't like, that group, I mean, don't kick off in the comments. It doesn't matter. Like, we all like different music. All of them sing to entertain us, and we can really all appreciate everyone's talents as much as we can. Okay, so a few honourable mentions that didn't make this actual list because the list did change a little bit throughout the time that I've made all these videos. So DONGHUN from NCT, who I adore, yisung from NCT, whose tone is gorgeous, Hwasa from Mamamoo, who is the only female vocalist who would appear on any of these really, because I really have a tendency for male voices. V from BTS, one of my favourite ever vocalists initially, but a lot have surpassed him since for various reasons. And then Jin from GOT7 is another one that I really enjoy. Okay, with that preamble out of the way, let's get on to the top 10 of my personal favourite K-pop vocalists. Let's go. Okay, so of all the groups that I've done, Ace were the ones that I went in kind of knowing absolutely least about, and I was told that vocally they were underrated. Ace have kind of got a bit of a tendency for being called underrated by a lot of people, but vocally, for those who don't know, Ace all the way through have some incredible singers, incredible vocalists. In my opinion, not least of those is DONGHUN. Now, he offers something vocally that I don't necessarily look for a lot of the time, and that is emotion. The guy's got a thicker tenor voice, which automatically means that when he's going a little bit higher, there's more of a pulled, chesty quality to it. And when he sings particularly emotional songs or particularly emotional ballads, as he's pulling into that big mixed area, he just sounds like his heart is breaking in particularly emotional tracks. And that's something, again, I don't necessarily look for in a vocalist, but the fact that he has that and I noticed it and it really vibed with me, made me really appreciate his voice. On top of that, again, as I mentioned, he's a thicker tenor, and I love tenors who can sing in this higher range while they thin out and go really whiny up high like DONGHUN does on a regular occasion. I like it when their voice is naturally a bit more and hooty and thicker down the lower end of their voice. So yeah, DONGHUN for me is an emotional singer with a great rasp in his voice when he kind of goes into the middle of his voice. He has a great whiny high note ability that he utilises on several occasions in many Ace songs. And on top of that, he's just got a really beautiful, thick, emotional tenor voice. And I really like that. Again, not as much as the next guys coming up, and the loyalty isn't there as much. I don't listen to as much Ace as I do everybody else. But I think his voice is fantastic and really underrated. And if you don't listen to Ace and you don't know DONGHUN, give him a go. Okay, so next is Yisung from Super Junior. Now, when I was researching Super Junior, as I mentioned in the video, if you haven't seen that video, please watch it. It's one I'm by far the most proud of, and when I go into Yisung's entry, I go a little bit wild. People were saying he is the best of them, the best of them, the best of them. And while objectively he isn't personally, in my opinion, in Super Junior, subjectively the guy's voice is bloody beautiful. The only reason that I don't put him any higher than this is because, as I've mentioned on several occasions, he has a tendency to either be like the best singer ever or and really whiny and pulled. And admittedly, I kind of like it when he brings that darker sound up into that space. The fact that he can do it is insanely impressive. And again, I like a darker voice that goes high. But he has a tendency to sometimes do it to the point where it's a little bit strained and a little bit uncomfortable sounding. And he has cracked a few times on occasion just by doing that kind of thicker, more chest-dominant, grabbed approach. And that's the only reason I put him a little bit lower. The reason I put him in the top 10 at all is because, in my personal opinion, the way my ears sound, his B-flat 4s and B4 really mixed belts are some of the nicest noises that has ever come out of a human mouth ever. Honestly, he sounds fantastic up in that really high area. And on the actual opening of his entry, that song, I can't remember what it's called, I can never remember the title of it, but that in my opinion is like my favourite ad-lib ever to happen in music because it sounds so powerful, so whiny, so forward and so strong. And Yisung to me was a very juxtaposed vocalist, either technically incredible to hit these whiny high notes or a little bit questionable and produced some kind of darker and nice and emotional and great sounds, but often sounded like he was struggling a little bit. So objectively, he is a very amazingly strong vocalist. Subjectively, I just love the way it sounds all the way through. And Super Junior, everyone knows they're amazing vocalists. I don't need to like prop them up or anything, but Yisung, in my opinion, of all of them, has the nicest voice. Okay, so this entry's very interesting because it's the first time I'm going to mention my friend who really helped partially shape this list by introducing me to many vocalists. She said to me, early doors of Patreon, I really like it if you would do an infinite video. So I went, okay, I'll reach out to you and kind of see what everything's about. So I wasn't going to do them initially. Like, I didn't really know much about them. I didn't really care about them too much. But because of a comment she made on the Super Junior video, I went, right, I remember you. Let's see what Infinite are all about. So I messaged her. She said, listen to Back. I went, okay, I'll listen to Back. And then a love was just born. Sunggyu's voice, from that moment on, him and Woohyun both just took me. But the reason I give the edge to Sunggyu personally is because his chorus in The Eye is, in my opinion, the best noise in K-pop. I just love the I just love that part of his voice. He's so whiny, he's so forward, he's got a little bit of a nasal quality to it that thins it all out all the way through, and the way his voice just sounds so perfect and so natural in that higher, raspier, rocky kind of key just really appeals to my ears, and I love a whiny high voice, as you'll find out in this list. And Sunggyu, to me, he's not my favourite of that vocalist style, but The Eye and that chorus is the best noise in music. It's like one of my favourite choruses vocally that's been in K-pop. Another reason I really respect him and think he deserves a place on this list is that Infinite always sung live. They're always sung live regardless, and the fact that he has showcased that his entire career, that he can sing in these keys, these high notes, and do them so well and so consistently makes me really respect him. So while I don't listen to as much Infinite as everybody else, as I do on this list, and I don't vibe with his voice as much in a lot of other songs, in The Eye alone, that is enough to earn him the number 8 spot.
그대 잊어버렸나 지난 날들을.
Now, anyone that knows me knows I enjoy learning. I'm a very boring human being, and things that I don't understand, I want to understand, and I find them fascinating. Hyunsik's voice is literally the definition of that, and that is why he is here. He is a baritone vocalist. As you heard in the opening clip, he's got a low, thick, powerful voice. And B2B have 2 baritones and 2 tenors, yet Hyunsik sings the higher portion loads. His voice absolutely baffled me for a long time, and it's one of the reasons I enjoy doing these videos so much, because I got to hear things and not understand them straight away and really learn how they worked. So as I say, he's got a baritonal, thick, deeper voice, but he also like mixes twice in key. Huh? Like, he can literally sing like a G2 and like a C5 in full voice the entire time. And while technically he might not be the most optimum person on this list necessarily, it's more of like a timbre kind of thing, and he might straight hit these high notes, and he does a little bit. I don't really care all that much. People that interest me and baffle me and give me something to work out and something to learn and something to analyse to that particular level like Hyunsik does, it just appeals to me hugely. On top of that, I love a baritone voice. There's not too many baritones on this because there's not too many baritones in K-pop that really like do a great deal outside of rap, so you don't get to hear them all that often. But to me, Hyunsik is one of the better, more utilised baritones in terms of his low notes and what a baritone voice can actually do once it's brought to a higher mixed place. So yeah, he's like a project of mine. I want to understand how he works. I love his voice and the tone of it and the range it operates in. I just think he's a wonderful vocalist. B2B would not be the same without Hyunsik. And yeah, he's just one of those voices that makes me go, huh? Okay, Baekhyun. Now, remember that friend I mentioned? Yeah, she's like almost entirely responsible for my new love of Baekhyun. When I was first getting into K-pop, EXO were the first group I listened to. As you'll find out later, there's a whole story on that. And Baekhyun's voice always grabbed me. I always liked it. I liked how kind of like R&B and soul-y it kind of was. And then he went in that more strained, chest-dominant mix. I liked it, but early on, he wasn't the person I vibed with the most. I didn't really grab to him too much. And then I met this friend, this wonderful human being, who said to me, oh, my favourite vocalist right now is Baekhyun. I went, alright, that's cool, yeah. And she went, do you like him? I went, yeah, he's good. She went, good. Samuel. And then basically what happened from then on was a journey of discovery into Baekhyun's vocals that I hadn't heard before, be it his solo career, songs like Psycho and Candy. While she knew they weren't necessarily my style of song, it really showed me Baekhyun's voice all the way through and how beautiful his low range was, and thick and dark and sexy and sultry it was. Then when he went to that famous higher mix, he sounded just as beautiful in his solo tracks, and hearing him perform his own songs all the way through really gives me a new love and appreciation for his voice. The songs necessarily weren't really my thing, which she knows and she's fully aware of that, but that alone made me listen to Baekhyun's voice and go, oh, okay. On top of that, she went, alright, so I'm a big fan of EXO as well, so are you? Do you know this song, this song, this song? I went, no, I don't know them. And she went, right, shut up, Samuel, you're an idiot. And then basically took me through loads of B-sides and loads of kind of songs of EXO that I hadn't heard before. A lot of them were the Baekhyun focus, and it made me just go, what am I doing? Why have I missed out on Baekhyun's vocals this much? The guy is incredible. On top of that, when he went to Super M and they really utilised his super high falsetto and super high mix register, it just, everything came together. I used to love him. I used to think he was great. I now utterly adore him and have a newfound appreciation for his voice. So thank you to my friend, you know who you are, for introducing me to that amazing, amazing voice in lots of songs I would not have found on my own. Baekhyun is amazing. So I'm not sure how many of you watched my VIX episode. I kinda call Ken vocal Jesus. Yeah, that opinion hasn't really changed at all. His voice went from kind of an unknown quantity to something I knew nothing about to one of my favourite vocalists in K-pop, like overnight, like in 5 seconds, because I love a powerful, high tenor belter. And Ken just went to me, Samuel, I'm everything you've ever dreamed of, listen to me belt. And I'm like, okay, Ken, hit me with your vocals. And he did so, and I just fell in love immediately. The guy's voice is, if you could paint by numbers things that I enjoy outside of a few things, as you'll kind of see going forward, he literally fits every single just factor that I could possibly want. It's higher, it's a tenor, like an F4, G4, it's big, it's open, it's resonant, it's powerful, it has a beautiful tone. It sounds like it can go higher if it goes into other configurations. The guy's voice just sounds absolutely immaculate and big and projected and just nice all the way through. As well as that, when I was doing my VIX episode, I kind of knew of Leo. Leo's the person whose voice I kept hearing, that he was kind of famously the guy who did all the high notes and blah, 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 blah. No one told me about Ken. So Ken was like the biggest surprise package of these videos that I've done so far. I love it when I know someone's going to be good and I can tell people why they are good and I can analyse them. What I love more than anything is knowing someone's going to be decent and finding out they're bloody incredible. That to me is a surprise package and just makes the whole experience much more fun. So not only is Ken's voice gorgeous, not only is the guy an absolute legend, not only is his voice just the best thing just I could have possibly wanted it to be, it was also a massive surprise package and something I didn't expect and something that really, really got me more interested in VIX. And again, my wonderful friend, who was another VIX fan, took me through loads of other VIX songs I hadn't heard during my research and made me love Ken even more. So yes, Ken is great. My friend is great, as you'll find out. And yeah, I love Ken. Okay, so Hui is another kind of surprise package. When I was doing the Pentagon episode, all I kept hearing was Jino, 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 Jino. And yeah, Jino was great. He was amazing at super high mask plays head voices. He was really good at singing high and all that other stuff, but Hui was better. In my personal opinion, Hui is absolutely overlooked by people who aren't necessarily Pentagon fans. On the performance of Basque from Road to Kingdom that I saw a comment that said something like, oh, this is really great with the high notes, but Jino's not here yet. I'm thinking, Jino doesn't need to be here. Hui literally could do the same notes that Jino could do, marginally less powerfully, and then a scoop into a high falsetto flageolet place. What are you not hearing from Hui's voice? What does the guy have to do to impress you anymore? He's got a soul voice. He's got rasp to his voice. He goes in that higher tenor, more gritty key. He could sing hard. He could sing soft. He's got runs. He covered Itzy, Dalla Dalla, and it sounded wicked in that key. His voice all the way through is beautiful, powerful, raspy, varied. He can get into this higher flageolet falsetto kind of area, mixy area, with more of a kind of leaning into a head voice mix place. And then yeah, Jino's amazing, Jino's great, don't get me wrong, but Hui is so much more unique, has a lot more character in my opinion to his voice, and just sounds absolutely beautiful all the way through. And for those that like Pentagon, I think you're with me. Hui is he's a little overlooked, right? A little bit. Like, as I said, the whole community knows who Jino is, as they should. He's great. No one knows who Hui is. People should know who Hui is. Hui is arguably just as good, if not better, depending on what you like. So yeah, to me, his voice has more character, just is in a key that I prefer. I love his grit, and even my sister likes Hui. Hui's my sister's favourite group, my sister's favourite vocalist in K-pop, and she doesn't even care about vocalists. She likes a chilled out song, but she likes Hui, as she should, because Hui is great. Hui is great, and people should like Hui more. Just for Hui. Number 3. He formerly on my list was lower, but it is Herechan. And I occasionally call him Slaychan, because that is what he should be known as, because the guy is amazing. Now this one, it's about the vocal delivery, it's about the vocal style, but more than anything, it is about the journey. So with Herechan, there are people on this list whose voices I might prefer like a little bit, because he's a whiny boy. He's got a nice, high, powerful, whiny kind of baby cry voice. And you know what? I love that. I love people that mix super high and have this really whiny delivery to get into a higher space. And Herechan has that. If you like a higher, whinier, character, unique, beautiful vocal delivery that sometimes sings softer with more air and it's gorgeous, then Herechan is the one for you. He might not be the objectively best vocalist in NCT necessarily, but he's the most unique and he's amazing. But as I say, it's about the journey. When I did the NCT 127 ranking, I listened to Herechan, I thought, okay, he's decent, he's a whiny boy, I like his voice, that's cool, I placed him 3rd, I think, and I was like, right, that's fine, let's move on, kind of forgot about him after that. Then I had the absolute pleasure and privilege of listening to NCT Dream to do their vocal ranking, and just listen to more Herechan things with their songs as the main focus and other things that he did, and just listen to him more, and I went, oh my god, Herechan's voice is Initially I thought it was fine, and now at this point I thought it was beautiful. But we're not done. My friend, of course she's back, she is a huge Herechan fan, like obscenely big Herechan fan. And she went to me, right, so there's this fan cam, and there's this performance, and there's this dancing that he did, and there's this, and this. And she's basically just took me through Herechan's essentially back catalogue of any media he's ever produced. And it just showed me different parts of his voice, softer vocals that he did out of nowhere, and a random dance cover that he did. Other performances of songs that I hadn't heard before, like Highway to Heaven, for example. I didn't know that before my friend introduced me to it. And he has a great, massive, whiny high note in that song. And she just took me again through basically everything he ever did and made me just see more and more and more that I would never have found on my own. And not only did that make me like Herechan's voice even more, it made me love the guy himself even more. The character he displays, his persona, just everything about him just captivated me. So vocally, if it was just voice with not everything else included, it might be like 5th or 6th on this list. I'm not sure. I love his voice. I think it's beautiful. But it's the journey with Herechan. It's the memories. It's everything that he took us through. Me and my friend had great times just watching NCT, Herechan videos because the guy's voice and the guy himself, absolutely just amazing human. Herechan is great. If you don't like Herechan, then you're wrong. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, what a singer. Okay, so number 2, for those who don't know and have never seen my Q&As or anything, I am a carrot. I'm a big carrot. 17 in my alt group, I think they're amazing. They haven't put a foot wrong. All the comebacks are beautiful and amazing and brilliant. And the entire performance that they always give with every single team in their group is fantastic. But for me, the thing that steals the show in almost every song, the thing I look for in every single song, and the thing that I adore is DK's voice. Oh my god, the only reason he is not number 1 is kind of because of nostalgia and the story behind number 1. But DK, in terms of just their voice, is probably my favourite. It's everything I love in a voice. He is a whiny, high, powerful, varied, high tenor singer. When he's belting, it's got a bit of a strained mix quality and it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. And I love that area of any male voice. Like when it kind of sounds like that on like more natural than mine is because my voice is not built to be up there. His voice just sounds powerful and whiny and forward and fantastic. And all 17 songs, particularly Call Call Call, which is my favourite 17 song, has this part of his voice in absolutely just to a T and beautiful and it is delightful. Another thing that he does really kind of well is he has some of the better really super high head voice notes that I've heard in K-pop. There's a lot of people that do them in a lot of different songs, but he's the one I trust with it by far the most. I do one for you right now. My voice is a little bit dead from speaking a lot, but you know, like the really mass-placed head voice, the really high whiny wah, kind of really super high noises. He does that better than, to me, anyone else I've heard in K-pop outside of maybe Baekhyun, who does them really well as well. But DK is a little bit more forward and natural sounding because his voice is naturally whinier. And paint by numbers, he is the voice that I adore. I love 17, and a lot of that is because of DK. Another performance of theirs I really enjoy was Tell Me on Immortal Songs. I watch quite a fair bit of Immortal Songs during these performances and during these videos that I do. but his Tell Me, I'm not going to do it because I can't right now, but please watch it. It opens with Sunggyu and DK doing like a duo sing bit. Sunggyu starts it and DK goes, ha ha ha, let's raise that slightly, and does this A5 forward insane high mixed belt, and it is like one of my favourite things that's ever happened in Immortal songs or just in K-pop. So yeah, DK is my favourite vocalist from my favourite group, and he only isn't number one because the guy who's number one is my old bias, and I'll explain him in a minute. But yeah, DK is the boy. If you don't like 17, that's fair enough. You've got to like DK. I'm not having any other opinion. It's not acceptable. Okay, so anyone that's seen the Q&As or followed the channel for a while knows that Mr. Kyungsoo-do is my absolute ultimate bias. He is the first voice that ever got me into K-pop. So the basic way I can explain this is when I first listened to K-pop at all, my brother played the song Call Me Baby on his phone. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting genre. Let's kind of put it on the back burner and kind of see what that's all about a little bit. But it got me intrigued, it got me interested. Obviously, it was an EXO song, and his voice in it stood out to a point, but I was like, okay, let's listen to this group at some point. Then as I kind of started to watch vocal analysis people on YouTube like Sam Johnson, he did a reaction to EXO in Seoul, the EXO Audium acoustic performance set. And I put it on and I watched it and I thought, who is that guy in the blue shirt who sings first? And that was Dio. The reason I thought that is because he captivated me literally immediately. All of them sounded good. All of them sounded amazing during that entire concert, that entire performance. But there was something about his voice. It was the tone. It was the way he delivered it. It was the confidence. It was the key it was in. It just made me go, right, I don't know who these are, but I've got to start learning members ASAP. So because I did that to kind of learn all the members, it got me familiar with the process of learning groups and learning members and kind of made all of this possible. It got me into K-pop generally, got me into EXO, which then obviously branched off into other groups. It got me wanting to make a vocal analysis video to explain him and the rest of the guys in EXO and how good they really were. And it basically allowed all this to kind of happen. It got me to 10,000 subscribers just listening to Dio's voice and thinking, whoa, that's kind of brilliant. So I had that nostalgic element of the fact that I love Dio's voice so much just from that one performance, and every other acoustic performance I'd seen. Sabor and Me sounds incredible. All of My Life that he did with Chen on the radio sounds incredible. Tell Me What Is Love sounds absolutely unbelievable in his R&B tone. So just the nostalgic element of him being the first person to get me into K-pop and really give it a chance made me absolutely adore him just generally. On top of that, his tone is kind of gorgeous. He has, obviously everyone knows Dio, he's an R&B soulful little boy. Most people agree he's one of the more agile male idol vocalists with runs and melisma and ad-libs and stuff like that. And his voice just has this depth to it, but also this high, easy, light time getting to these kind of A4, B4 belts. And his voice, yes, he might not have the super high extension of some of the other guys on this list, but he doesn't need it. He's grounded in this darker, soulful R&B, beautiful, powerful tenor vocal. And his voice is like a dream tone for a lot of people, and he's a lot of people's favourite vocalist. And that makes sense because he sings in a way that you don't hear in K-pop very much. And he's unique and he's brilliant, and he just, yeah. Kyungsoo's voice is absolutely to die for. And on top of that, he's a massive mood. He's just funny to watch because he reacts to everything like this. And I absolutely feel it on like an emotional and spiritual level to everything. So yeah, nostalgic. The guy's a fun mood, and his voice is kind of sexy as. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this. I know it wasn't an analysis video or an objective video. I hope it was still fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to actually make. I adore making videos like this. I find them really fun. I get to be passionate and talk about things that I really enjoy. So I hope that was okay. At some point the NCT Original 21 Vocal Ranking will be out with you. I really don't know when. I don't know if it'll be this month or in a while. I'm not doing any more projects before that, so I'm just chilling out for December. Obviously finishing this torrid year in the most relaxed way we possibly can. Hopefully it'll be before that, but I really don't know. Either way, thank you for watching this video. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for an amazing year. You guys have done a lot for me. I went from nothing to 10,000 subscribers, and that's, you know, a little bit beyond what I thought was going to happen. So yeah, if this is the last video you see this year, thank you so much for partially making this year one of the better ones I've actually had in, you know, in comparison to the stuff that's been going on. So thank you, and goodbye.